So today I wanted to talk about the energetic side of our practice. And in playing with handstand the other week in yoga, I feel like this has been kind of a yoga pose that I've been trying to work out and trying to get right. And I'll learn a few pieces and I have a few ahas, and all that kind of came together in regards to our practice. And how that came to be was we kind of look at three parts in kind of this mind-body practice, because that's also what meditation is. We have the structural aspect of the process, of the practice. And the structural is like the bones in our body. It's the architecture of what holds everything together. And the other aspect of the practice is the muscular side, the muscles in our body. And how I see that translating into our practice muscularly is the choices and the habits and the routines that we do day in and day out that facilitates and strengthens or lessens, where we want to focus the growth and strength in our lives. And the third one is the energetic aspect of the practice. So much of yoga and Aikido has that flavor, that energetic flavor, that you could be thinking you're doing the practice right. You could be, structurally aligned, but there's always something more that you can fine tune energetically. You can notice if in a certain yoga pose, as you're holding it for a long span of time, how to energetically settle down into it a little bit more, and how to allow some ease into a pose that can be pretty strenuous. And you can eventually turn that pose in such a way with the correct structural alignment, muscular, engagement, and energy application to make it almost effortless. And we play so much with the energetic part of this meditation practice because it's something that's not seen, and we always are able to fine tune a little bit more. So the obvious structurally, is the basic categories of home, life, relationships, career, those kind of big pieces in our life that creates the structure of how we live our life. And muscularly is the aspect of who do we choose to have relationships with? What kind of career do we put our time and energy into? And exercise. What type of exercise routine or regime do you follow to kind of balance out the structural part? So we know all of that. That's part of our practice already. That's already in place. And so I want to speak to the energetic part, which is not just the sitting meditation, but it's also going on trips that can be called power trips, if you want to label it that, where you can leave for a day or two and completely leave that structure and muscular practice that you have in place, and be able to clear everything out, zero everything out back to zero. And you go to a place that feels good to you. You don't have to go with a whole group of people. You can go by yourself. But just the aspect of taking yourself to those places is almost like doing a full house cleaning from top to bottom. So that when we come back this new person. And this new person has a little bit more awareness, has a little bit more perception and seeing into how we've structured our lives, how we are engaging in our lives, how we are making certain choices in our lives, and the habits that we've accumulated to see if we still want to pursue those. And it becomes so beneficial, even though it can feel scary when we're about to go on these trips, because there truly is a part of us that is not coming back, if not the whole part of us. And during these power trips, you can be doing the most mundane thing, reading a book, soaking in the jacuzzi, taking a walk, having a conversation. And yet, because of the intent and the preparation that you've put towards this trip, all the ordinary things become completely extraordinary. And having the awareness to see the extraordinary within the ordinary, that becomes the magic and the miracle of it all. We're able to release kind of the mental structure and thinking that we go about in life with, and we're able to see a little bit differently, or if not, just maybe play with the possibility of what could be and what's out there, what's beyond our own perception, and what's possible. For example, on the latest power trip that I went on, and you were there as well, we had hiked into this spot and we sat and meditated. And after meditating for a while, I was opening my eyes to kind of just gaze at the horizon because I was able to face kind of a mountain, a hill far off in the distance. And the sun had set and the stars were out. And there was a particular star that was really low to the horizon. And when I gazed at this star, just kind of lightly placing my attention on it, I noticed how there was a string of light connecting from the star to the horizon. And it kind of made me smile, and I kind of had my brain do a little flip flop inside, because normally I would think that the stars hang from the sky. And here, this felt like the star was hanging or floating like a balloon connected to the horizon. It's quite cool. And in that moment of kind of seeing that star with this string of lights connected to the horizon, and the sense of, oh, well, maybe that the stars are somehow connected to the earth in such a way with these strings that are all tied up, and maybe the stars are some form of kind of a balloon trying to float away into eternity, but really it's being held back from this, string of light. And it allowed me the possibility to engage with my mind, with my body, with my whole logic thought process that, well, maybe everything I'm thinking about is completely upside down and inside out. And when you have thoughts like that, it gives you a moment of pause. Like, oh, wow. What else have I been thinking or doing that's completely backwards or inside out or upside down? And it felt like such a happy moment to me to feel that way, because I didn't have to be burdened by a certain way of thought process. I didn't have to be burdened by a certain way of being that I felt was me or was right or whatever it was that I was feeling at that time. That whole belief system kind of falls away for anything to be possible. And so going on these power trips and having these kind of experiences that can seem more or less mundane when you maybe talk to somebody that hasn't been on one, ah, it can be hard to describe all that is happening at that moment and in that time. But to know that each person that goes on a power trip and puts that intention of doing so truly gets changed and truly comes back changed. And to be aware of that so that when you come back and you're changed and you're a new person and you're different in certain ways that you have yet to discover, that you don't bombard yourself too harshly with all your to-dos and have-tos and shoulds and this is how I think and this is how I feel, and kind of become a staunch stance on your particular soapbox, because maybe you've changed soapboxes and it's different now. And even going beyond the soapbox and whatever it is your new beliefs are when you come back as this new person, also remembering your time during your power trip, wherever that may be. Because when we remember that time that we spent and how we felt and all the things that we experienced on that power trip, we're also remembering that everything we do in this life, the soapbox that we stand on, it's all just a role we play. It's just all part of the theater of this whole life, the whole drama of eternity. And sometimes we pick up the role of the warrior, we pick up the role of a monk, or we pick up the role of a, competitive athlete, or hardcore New York business woman, that they're just roles and they're temporary. And what truly is real is that part of you, that aspect of you that was out with eternity during the power trips. That very malleable part of you that finds laughter and joy in the simple things. And for the things that seem to mean or feel offensive or defensive, they seem to kind of fall away from you and they seem to not even land upon your system. They just kind of pass through you. So, the most important thing I'm trying to say today, with regards to the energetic aspect of our practice, is to take yourself on these trips, these journeys, these adventures that takes you to somewhere new you've never been and allows you to experience a different aspect of yourself, which really is the true core part of yourself, so that you can come back into life and change up things that you want to change, keep things that you want the same, and have the ability to distinguish between either one of them. Any questions on that?
I have a comment.
Yes. Star? Yes.
Star thing.
From the sky. You saw the star dangling from the sky. How funny. Swinging from a swing or?
No, the star was controlling the earth.
Ah. Oh.
Because I saw that same star.
Oh. The star was controlling the earth like a puppet. I like that.
Like the moon.
Yes, yes, yes. That's totally possible. Because when I saw it kind of swinging in the sky, literally the star swinging, I felt like it looked like a balloon that's just kind of swaying back and forth. And I thought that the line of light was tethered, connected to the earth. That's cool. That's cool that you saw that.
Perhaps, right. It's possible, really, to explain to anybody who wasn't there what the experience was like.
Yes.
Because I exert myself, become a different person. I become empowered when I go on these power trips.
Sounds like a cliche, but it totally makes sense. Empowered when you go on these power trips.
Yeah, and I can do things and be aware of a lot more than I normally am in my closed little world. And when I come back, I see my closed little world for what it really is.
Yes.
So small, but so voluntary.
Voluntary?
Voluntary. I choose to live this lifestyle.
Sure.
These things.
Sure.
Opposed to, other things I can do.
Sure.
And just makes me more aware of my options.
Yes.
So, a little more hopeful. Not that I'm, despondent.
Sure.
But I was like, yeah, I could change that. Or I can do that. And so that's what I was saying. I just get so energized. And I don't know what to do with all of it.
Such a beautiful place to be.
Yeah.
It truly is. It's powerful to have choices and options in your life, and the ones that feel, all of them to you, tangible, all of them possible. I truly think that's, miraculous in itself. Yeah.
Like in terms of my back, I had no problem really out there at all this trip with my back. And I even then asked me about that. And she said, well, how was your back? I said, well, my back is remarkably
I love that word, remarkably improved. I love it.
And
yes. Yes.
And I attribute it to, my medicine Buddha practice, obviously. Yeah. And, that I am learning to manage the energy.
Yes.
Inside.
Yes.
And around me.
That's right. Yes.
And I can change the shape of my back, my spine. Because I already did it. Yes.
Right. Oh, yeah.
But anything is possible, really.
Yes.
Just the fact that we're born with all of these, parts, and they work perfectly.
Yes, it's amazing. I love what you said about the inside, kind of being able to harness that a little bit better, because that was so much what I felt when I was out on our trip. I felt literally every time that the wind blew, every time a gust blew this way or that way, that on one side, yeah, it felt like it was blowing through me, but then I felt like my insides had flipped outward. And it was just that, and my outside had flipped inward, if you will, but I also feel to a certain extent that the me that I thought was me was very, very thin, and therefore I felt everything kind of moving and shifting, the wind blowing each time, and it really felt like nothing there. It's just all this lovely light. Nice.
Yeah, the wind is quite phenomenal.
Yes.
Because I became, bodiless.
Yes, bodiless. Yes, thank you. That's a great word. Yes.
And it was literally, Isis talks about, sanding down ego.
Yes.
It was
Sanding down.
Sanding down ego. It was just going away.
Yes.
It was just there.
Absolutely.
And no bodily feeling.
No.
You know?
And on that note is even when the wind would blow or when it was still, we were asked to kind of feel with every sensorial feeling of our bodies and our systems in order to kind of be with the desert and kind of meditate with it. And I was smelling, because I have kind of a strong smell of a nose. And I would smell and I would sniff and kind of breathe, whether the gust of wind was blowing or whether it was still. And I just felt like there is absolutely no odor. It was completely perfect. And I just thought, brilliant. Yes, everything's perfect. I mean, the way the wind was blowing was perfect. When it was still was perfect. The way the air smelled was perfect. The temperature felt perfect. I mean, that level of perfection in every sense feeling was incredible. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
And, I really had a great appreciation of my blessings.
Yeah.
To be out in the desert with this group of people having this kind of experience.
Yes, a lot of gratitude.
Yeah, a lot of gratitude. And, gratitude for this place and all the teachers and all the students and everything that I've learned.
Yes. It's also interesting remembering that part in our trip where we went around in a circle kind of speaking gratitude for the trip. And, initially when the leader was like, well, let's go around the circle and see if you have anything to share. Feel free to share. And my little bit of ego was like, oh, yes, I want to say something. And then it was all of a sudden, as I just settled it down and listened to everyone truly said what I felt and what I wanted to say. And in that moment, since I happened to go last in the way the circle was formed, I felt so complete and I felt so unified with everyone, and just the awareness of, oh, you are me and you are and I'm you, and everything you're asking is what I would ask, and everything you're giving gratitude for is what I would give gratitude. And now I'm able to give gratitude amongst 7 people and 7 voices versus just my one voice. And that was really cool to feel, and really wanting to remember that sense of oneness, when I come across things or people I see, coming back to my life or world, that the things that kind of irk me the wrong way is like, oh, what about it is that me that I'm having to correlate or assimilate? So still working on that.
And I felt like Rama had given me a special gift of the luminous sand.
Yes. Yes.
It's just, the sand, there's no source of light. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I was really grateful that you guys spoke about the sand being so luminous, because I saw it.
Yeah.
But if we hadn't spoken, or if you hadn't spoken to it, it would have just been kind of the backdrop of like the blue sky. Almost, if you don't kind of name it, especially in those moments on these power trips, it kind of gets flittered away of like, oh, that was just the sky.
Yeah, and I remember looking for the moon, the source.
Oh, yes, no moon in sight. Yeah, really cool.
Yeah, it was great.
It was great. And for those that are listening or will be listening to this talk, you should definitely go on one. So on that note, let's meditate. Okay.
Good selection.
Thank you. Glad you like the music. So instead of trying a new diet or a new exercise program or hiring a trainer and spending a lot of money and maybe not getting very lasting or long lasting results, I suggest maybe taking a power trip. Go for a weekend or a day and come back completely changed. And that change can facilitate so many other more numerous changes in your life to really make it sustainable and bright and happier. So thank you for coming today. Thank you.